Hello, we're on day 7, class 2, okay? And today we're going to talk about how to plan your ECEI, all right? We've already talked about the thesis, what a thesis is, and now we're going to plan your ECEI. So I'd like to show first, before anything else, a counter argument, which would be Sam O'Neill's opinion. Let's take a look at Sam O'Neill's opinion and why you need to use Sam O'Neill's opinion. Let's go. I'm going to share my screen here and let's talk about Sam O'Neill's opinion. Okay? So here we are now at this very moment. Why do you feel compelled to express someone else's personal opinion or viewpoint? Why? Because you have to argue. And also to provide balance. So we need to use someone else's opinion to counterbalance a bit, also to show some coherence and also to demonstrate some knowledge. And this makes you balance your own e-sense. This is very important. Shall we take a look? What kind of... I'm not sure if you understood. We need to talk about what others think so we can argue. The argument comes from Sam or Nelson Opinate. We are required to argue. And the opinion is argumentative. So look at this. Many people argue that. Many people claim that. Many people believe that. I strongly disagree or I strongly agree. For you to agree or disagree, you need to mention someone else's opinion. A growing number of individuals hold that. Some assert that. It is widely believed that. There is a common argument. There are thousands of arguments from Samuel Nusapil. All right? And we have to use them to argue, okay? And that way we can increasingly agree, disagree, and expand our opinion. Look there. A growing number of individuals argue that animal testing, it is widely believed that all of this is there on my website, kikakabalazi.com.au. Okay? Always show both sides before you give your opinion. Okay? It's not about showing both sides because you're going to defend, you're going to make a thesis, you're going to show what people think. All right? It's more in that sense. Always avoid emotional words and use academic words and expressions. We have to show them. It's no use just coming up with everything from our own heads. We have to show academic expressions. And now let's talk a little about planning a CIOP. Let's go. In the introduction, I'll show you here. Just a little bit. We have the introduction, state your opinion clearly. Just going back a bit to the structure of the opinion essay. State your opinion clearly, okay? So you have to give your opinion right there in the introduction. Your opinion has to be given. And also Samuel Nelson. Opinion in order to give your opinion or to be able to paraphrase, or if you're going to paraphrase. Today, I'll even show a myth right here, okay? You have to use samonozopi. You have right here in the paragraphs, just to go back to this, in the paragraphs, you have to put a strong argument, the reason why you agree or disagree, or the reason why you disagree, and also a strong argument for why you... So you need to have 2 arguments to support your famous thesis. Okay? So there. Here in the introduction, I am required to include the 2 strong arguments that I will use here without any repetition. Today, I will also give you a bit about word formation. It's important. It's one of the most important things in the I6, especially in task 2. And for everything, for reading, for listening, for everything in IELTS. So these 2 strong arguments in your paragraph, they also need to be here. And obviously using Sam O'Neill's opinion. Shall we use Sam O'Neill's opinion? There are already academic structures that I showed you at the beginning of this video. And finally, in the conclusion, you will, again, without repetition, structure the arguments, the two arguments. You will include both arguments there in the conclusion. First, you will summarize everything you mentioned earlier. Right after that, you will present your arguments, which are the main ideas, and finally, your opinion. I'm repeating this. We must not forget to use the tell in the body paragraph. Now, let's talk a little about ECEI planning. Well, in the introduction, you basically plant your flag right from the start. Tell the world where you stand in this debate. Agreed? Do you agree? Or do you disagree? Pick a side and own it without fear. You have to choose a side. After that, give a quick context. Like someone opening the curtain on a stage. Show what ideas, this is in the introduction, okay, folks, will take the stage in your text. Think of it as a trailer for your own movie. Right after that, you will formulate the stronger arguments further. Here comes the counterpoint. When I say counterpoint, I mean Salmonella Zappini, especially Salmonella Zappini. Now comes the part the examiner loves. The examiner will be watching you closely. Strong arguments, 2 are enough, but they need to be good. If you agree, which is here, if you agree, for example, that prison is the best punishment, you have to find something to support your thesis. So, is prison the best punishment or not? So, prison deters crime, or maybe to protect society if it's the best punishment. In this case, if you disagree, you also need to have 2 strong arguments. Prison prevents crime. Prison is the best punishment. There. In argument 1 where you agreed, if you agree, you say it prevents, as we saw before. Prevents crime, effectively protects society, as we clearly saw earlier. However, if you fundamentally disagree, you have to present your compelling arguments and valid reasons. And the arguments have to be strong as well, just like when you agree. For example, you disagree because rehabilitation works better than prison. You disagree because does not protect because education transforms. You disagree because community service can rebuild lives. That's why you disagree. And here's the logic of good examples. In this case, you have to use the cons against Romer. Of course, you have to use them against arguments. Why? What are the Samuel Nelson's mainly opinions? That one, some people believe that the one I already showed at the beginning of the video, because nobody likes a text that just pushes an idea down your throat. Show balance. Even though you defend your arguments tooth and nail, show balance. Show that you understand. The other side, using someone else's opinion, always, okay? Because you understand, but you either disagree or agree. And give an example that represents this viewpoint. This shows that you debate, you argue, and that you deserve it. Band-aid, okay? And then you move on to the conclusion. In the conclusion, you close the door with elegance. With elegance. The conclusion is very much like the final resonant chord of a beautiful song. First, you should summarize all the essential points. Second, you must clearly restate your main opinion. And finally, connect everything together, presenting it with a nice, elegant bow and the chair. This is your conclusion. Okay? What are the rules of the game? Why does IELTS require a minimum of 250 words and at most 40 minutes for an essay? Okay? In the next video, we'll look at tips for succeeding in the IELTS. It's quick. You are quick.